I want to add my voice to the CEO and the chair of the board to apologize for coming in late. But as the CEO said, I was coming from very far. I really endeavored to be here this Friday. And I was worried as to whether I'll find our colleagues waiting for us. This address was supposed to be done earlier than today, beginning of the year, around 2nd or 3rd, but we were busy. But I'm happy that we're here, and I want to thank the chair for the submission and the announcements that you have done. I want to congratulate you for the achievements, and I want to thank you, the media, for the support that you've given us in 2023. And there is no doubt that we shall move together in 2024. It's going to be a year of a lot of activities politically, and what that means is that my sector is going to really be at the forefront because electricity is very critical. Every candidate, every person, every politician, every voter would like to see electricity in their constituencies. But there is a lot, and I will add on to what my chair of the board has already given you as to what plans we shall be doing. I am happy to note that the tariff has been reduced because this is what we have been working towards to make sure that the cost of production in Uganda is affordable. And what that means is that we will see also the cost of the goods that are produced being affordable. The chair of the board has told you that the 1.6% reduction in the tariff is equivalent of 40 billion 300 something. That is a budget for a ministry. That is a budget for Electricity Regulatory Authority. It's what we have offered this year. And even last year, we made the same. The reduction last year was about 1.8, but we fell short of giving you what that means in terms of money. Whenever we announce a reduction in tariff, it means that we have reduced, we have lost money, but in a good way, because in the end, we will see many more people using electricity. And we want electricity to be used in a productive manner. And we want to move away from using charcoal to using electricity. And I think the chair, while I was away, talked about e-cooking. Yes. If you didn't, it's something that we have to really keep talking about because we are required, actually we are mandated by the world to move away from using charcoal or firewood to clean electricity or clean cooking. So this reduction is helping us to move towards that. And I must congratulate Uganda because we are moving towards the correct direction. So as we start the year 2024, I am pleased to provide you with an update on the performance of electricity subsector in addition to the announcement that you have heard from CEO and the chair. One, in operationalization of Electricity Amendment Act of 2022, I remember I addressed you over this act, and I know that the country might need to know how far we've gone in making sure that we operationalized what we passed. You remember on May 15th last year, the president assented to this act. That means it started effectiveness on the 14th of June 2022, and that was through the Gazette. And that is the normal procedure for every act. So the amendment has various benefits. For the purpose of this briefing, allow me to expound on the following provisions that in December 2022, I promised would be operationalized in 2023. One are the payment of the royalties. In line with Section 75, subsection 7A of the Act, all renewable energy generators were to begin paying royalties to local governments in their respective areas of operation. Before that, before the amendment, royalties were only paid by hydroelectricity generation plants. And you know that we now have power generated from solar, from biogas, from other sources. And so the amendment was to allow these generators to pay to our local governments some royalties. And this has happened, and I am happy to note that a number of districts where the hydro solar plants exist have received royalties, have started receiving royalties. And I just want to encourage these benefiting districts to ensure that the funds are put to proper use for the benefit of the respective communities. The second one is the private investment in the transmission segment. Investment was done by government, but the amendments that were made opened up investment by private sector in the transmission. The transmission segment has been opened up for the private investment, and my ministry has developed the necessary framework for its full operationalization. The electricity regulations, this is according to the independent power transmission, we had to come up with regulations. And these regulations were enacted on the 13th October last year. I therefore encourage the public, and specifically and especially the private sector, to seize this opportunity and support the government in expanding the power supply grid to promote the country's socio-economic transformation. The third one is direct purchase of electricity. In June 2022, the government of Uganda amended the Electricity Act, which had been enacted in 1999, to, among others, provide for the direct purchase of electricity in bulk by a specified class or category of customers from a generator and all transmission licensee. Consequently, the relevant regulations, because I've told you that any act that is done, in order for it to be effective, there must be regulations to guide its implementation. So, in this regard, the regulations were gazetted, then they became effective from 30th December 2022. And in addition, the eligible consumers and proportion of electrical energy consumed by eligible consumers under direct purchase arrangements was determined by the regulator in 2023. 2 approvals have so far been made by the regulator for power generation and sale directly by Munyenye Solar Company Limited to Nile Breweries factories in Buyikwe and in Mbarara. So those 2 are in business. And as government, because we are mandated to supply power to whoever needs it, when we get these private generators, it is a plus to us. It helps us to cover the gap of electricity supply. In addition to the above, the regulator is fast-tracking the development of the net metering regulations. I think I've ever talked about net metering I put it in my own local understanding. Net metering is kwebala. You know, you are using your rooftop to generate electricity through solar panels, and you are using some of the electricity, and you have a balance of that electricity. Can you give that balance back to government through its agency? Mwebale. Net metering is kwebala. When you go to Kololo airstrip, you will see at the rooftop of the pavilion, it is covered by solar panels. Power is being generated. So without these regulations, we can't start kwebala, because government has a lot more to cover. You who is selling me your balance, you must understand that you have to be part of the payment of what government pays, you know? So that is where the regulator has to come up with the regulation, so that when you start business, we will be able to do business with you, the generator of power from your rooftop, without going to court, okay? So I am told that the regulations are almost out. It is the Solicitor General, or the Solicitor General has to be the final office whenever a regulation is done. So we are now at the Solicitor General, but I promise you that I'm fast tracking this, because already I've told you about the Kololo project. There are other people who also want to come in, who have their large houses where they can tap electricity from the sun, and then we shall be bridging the gap of electricity access by Ugandan population. The fourth one is accelerated access to electricity. And as I informed you last year, I reiterate that pursuant to the government's aspiration of accelerating electricity access up to 80% by 2027, and as provided for in Vision 2040 and our National Development Plan 3, the government has packaged several programs to accelerate electricity connections and enhance access to electricity power supply in the country. These include: 1, the hybrid customer connection financing framework, which I have talked about, but allow me to talk about it again, because I realize that we need to continuously disseminate information to the beneficiaries. And when I move around and I talk about it, there are still other people who have not yet gotten information about this good input of the hybrid customer connection financing framework.